Pokemon Uranium, or as most of you know it, the banned Pokemon game. This is also the game that apparently we survive a nuclear explosion because, well, that makes sense. And the Pokemon also survived in this game, creating the nuclear type, which I heard is just busted. I'm going to be doing a Nuzlocke of it, and this is my first time playing this, as well as my first time playing a fan game on this channel. So if you like this and want to see more, leave some suggestions down in the comments. Now, since this is a fan game, we can actually choose to set it to a Nuzlocke within the game itself. As always, we can't heal or use items in battle, and without further ado, let's get that sweet radiation poisoning. So right off the bat, we talk to Professor Bambo, which maybe means bamboo since all the professors are named by trees, and this guy seems super chill. Oh, and this game has new Pokemon as well, which don't look terrible. We also get to choose one of these guys as our avatar, and I'm gonna just go with the guy in the middle. Apparently we used to live in a city called Beel Beach in the Tanda region, and it looks like we have a dad again. Although I don't know if Saiyans are very reliable fathers, but hey, I'll take it. Apparently our mom was an expert in nuclear energy. Well, clearly she wasn't, because would an expert let a complete meltdown happen under her watch? No. Anyways, our mother couldn't escape in time, and our father, well, he didn't have time for us after her death. When I needed him the most, he vanished. See, just like Goku. 10 years passed, and well, I'm a very depressed child living with his aunt. And the chibi looks like an overgrown baby. Anyways, I head out to see Moki Town, and it looks like the people in this place aren't too bright. I can now trade with my friends across the world with the power of the internet. Homie, we could do that years ago. From here, I went to the professor's lab with my good old pal, Theo. And it looks like we can see our starter choices over here. But before we choose, we have to take this silly test. You're testing my patience, Bamboo. Which Pokemon would win in an all-out battle? Well, Ampharos, of course. That's not true, but I try to make myself feel better since I love it so much. Oh, and apparently the game chooses our starters for us. Well, that kind of blows. But hey, Raptorch sounds pretty cool. I named him Johnny, and if you can guess the name theme off that name alone, you deserve a cookie as always. But just deserve one. I'm not actually gonna give you one. This thing is way better than Sprigatito. From here we battle Theo, and I completely forgot the sprites move in this game. That's great. One single Ember was able to destroy this kid in one shot, probably because it's 4 times effective, or so I think it is. From there I figure out that Raptorch is a fire and ground type, which I just love, and he had an adamant nature. From here Professor Bambo showed us around, and I was going to leave town immediately after this since it's depressing living here, but there's grass here, so technically that's an encounter. Chiyin Monk. It'll have to do. I named him Beast and began my journey. Over on Route 1, I did catch a Burby, named her Storm, and nearly lost one of my Pokemon to some lass. Quite literally the 3rd battle I've been in, and I'm almost losing a member. If it wasn't for Johnny's burn, we would have been toast. I decided it's best to grind before continuing, and this was annoying as I had to run back to the lab every time I needed to heal. With everyone at level 9-ish, we were ready. The next town over was Kevlar Town, and the people here seem nice, although I see a divorce coming for these two. She wants kids, and he just wants to raise Pokemon instead. Yikes. Good luck, you two. Ooh, I love jokes. How do you get 50 Pikachu on a bus? You poke 'em on. You suck, bro. I went to the mart to stock up on balls and potions, and other than that, there wasn't too much to do in Kevlar, so I continued on battling trainers on the way. Route 2 was a new encounter, and we found an Outten, which kind of sucks, but I don't know what else we could have gotten in here. And I say it sucks because we already have a bird, but it's fine. Oh dear god, I almost killed it. I named her Mimic, and that wasn't the only encounter. I also found a Grozard in Passage Cave, who I named Connors. Again, we already have a Raptorch, but it is what it is. Overall, pretty easy to get through, and in no time we were in Nuzlocke City. This is home to the first gym, and this guy tells us she's hardly ever at her gym, and she's probably at her house. But he can't go there because, well, reasons. And then he just straight up gives me her house keys. Dude, what the hell? To make matters worse, apparently he made copies. Maria needs to go into witness protection, like now. Regardless, I do exactly what homie did, and now I'm probably gonna have a restraining order against her. Hopefully she does it after I get my gym badge though. We learned that she was the champion, which is why this guy is so obsessed with her in the first place, but either way, we can now take on our first gym, the normal type gym. The first trainer was easy, but the second trainer's Fenlang had Yawn, and I couldn't KO before it put 2 of my Pokemon to sleep. I had to sack our new Connors, and the only reason I didn't sack Outten was it had Charm and maybe it could be useful. If they were leveled up, I wouldn't have lost anything. Also, I thought Beast would outspeed here, but thanks to my lowering speed nature, we didn't. But thankfully, she used John, like an idiot. We definitely could have lost there. I love how the menu just says dead. Now since that trainer scared me so bad, I want to go train Beast to level 14, which is when he evolves into Kinet Monk, which makes me feel a lot safer. He doesn't look threatening, and he might not be, but we should be fine. With our newfound Beast, we take on Maria, and she starts off with an out-10, which is perfect as we learned Thunder Shock. Just as expected, that's a nice one-shot. 2 knocked out Fenlang, but I probably should have brought an Awakening Berry, if I could even get one at this point. Felench has a 90 base attack stat, so I guess it's good Beast evolved. And yeah, I also put an Oranberry, which I guess pops at the end of the turn, but Beast is still in this baby. It did use Yawn again, and used a potion, so we're back to this situation. But we woke up just in time to get our first gym badge. Beast, that health bar is frightening. Let's get you to a Pokemon Center. Stat. Or not, as I totally forgot to heal before taking on Theo. To be fair, this is my first time playing though. I had no idea he'd be here. But it's okay, as Storm came in, and with the return TM Maria gave us, we were all good for this fight. One cool thing, even though Grozar died, is we can still use him as an HM slave. And this is good because I literally cannot catch an HM slave if I tried, since the Nuzlocke is built into the fan game, so it's 1 per route. From here we can head into Route 3 by rock smashing these rocks east of our hometown. And here we can finally get another encounter, this time being the pig monkey, Mankey. I love me a good pig monkey. I named him Bucky and kept it moving. And check this bug out. This could have been ours. I'm so salty. Dodging trainers in this game is pretty easy, so our way to Barol Town wasn't too bad, and this is where our second gym is. There's also some shops in this plaza, which allows me to get an encounter here since we can buy one of these 3 Pokemon. Kind of a weird selection, but I guess I'll just grab Pahar, a fire and flying type, just in case one of our similar types die. I named her Falcon. Now we could go take on the second gym. However, they specialize in ground, rock, and poison type, so I went to the right of Barul to catch a Spawny. I have no idea what route this is as it doesn't tell me when I walk in, but it did allow me to catch an encounter here, so it must be fine. Before taking on Davern, I did evolve Storm into Avidin just in case, as most of our team are still first stagers. I do like that Davern essentially dug into this wall in the city to make his gym. Now despite him being part rock type, he has no rock type moves, so Spawny should be okay here. We resist Bulldoze and have water guns, so after some time just going back and forth with him and his potions, we were able to pop our Citrus Berry and KO Grozard. His next Pokemon was Modrile, which honestly looks like he's stuffing his face with strawberry ice cream. Modrile is a ground dark type, so 2 water guns brought him down to the red with no potions left, and luckily he didn't get a crit on us, so Peter is still alive. From there, I swapped in Bucky on an ironic Metal Claw, if you know, you know, but Bucky won't take that mockery, and after that's gone, we're in an ideal situation as Deer Rule comes in, a rock and steel type, 4 times weak to Karate Chop. He did have Sturdy, but he only used Harden, aka he's stupid. Now there's just 1 Pokemon left, and it's the hardest one of all, Tofurang. And I love how Tonemi evolves into this. It's a nice curveball. This thing is fully evolved and powerful, but I did keep Bucky in here for some Leers. And with that Citrus Berry, I was able to get 3 defense drops on it. But then I went for a Fury Swipes. It did nothing, and Tofurang nearly killed Bucky where he stood. Now as much as I'd love Johnny to use Mud Slap, we can't as it's special, so our best bet is Beast once more, especially since he's using Lick. Well, so much for that prediction. Either way, with 3 defense drops and a powerful return, we defeat Davern with 2 returns. Beast once again being the MVP for this early game. What a beast. I guess it does tell me the route if I open up my menu. This guy bumped into us saying some Pokemon beat him up pretty good in Comet Cave, so I should bring someone with me, but I got a full team of Pokemon. What more could I need? Anyways, this leads us to obviously teaming up with this baby to go through the cave. Now our next encounter is between these 2, and I do know Dunsparce has an evolution in this game, but Tonemi is pretty cool. Yeah, no, Dunsparce's evolution is crazy and powerful, so I have to shoot for that one. This was tricky as Theo just attacks whatever he wants, and while I was able to KO Tonemi, I had to switch in case the ball failed, so on my switch Theo's Metal Cat nearly KO'd Dunsparce. Now I just had to hope it stays in the ball. Oh, I had a Dust Ball. Well, that works. I wanted to name her Loki, but I accidentally continued, so just pretend it says Loki when you see her. Now this game threw me for a curveball at the end of the cave. Sort of. They said there was some big Pokemon at the end, but I didn't think I'd fight it and it would be level 22. How am I gonna make it out of this? With Storm using Return 2 times. That's how. Okay, that was anticlimactic, but why do the levels just spike there? And you best believe that baby ran away and left me alone. Anyways, right after the cave, we're in Route 5, and I wonder how dupes work for the Nuzlocke. Is it going to let me catch another Pokemon? It indeed is. This time being Kostra, the poison and psychic type. I named her Wanda and entered Rockfall town, a city surrounded by rocks, and apparently a lot of rain. While trying to leave this place, Professor Bambo stopped us and said someone stole Pokemon at Lily Cypress's lab, and apparently they have this thing that can translate Pokemon speech to English, and with this Outton they found, which was one of the stolen Pokemon, it told us what happened. This guy took all of these Pokemon to Route 6, and basically, guess who has to stop him? Me. It's always me. Why can't it be Theo? Because he ran away, like the scaredy cat he is. Anyways, from here I had to fight a bunch of Outton on Route 6, and I don't know if these would count as Nuzlocke encounters for this route, but we'll never know as I already have one. Regardless, I truck on into the cave, and here we find the thief. And I swear I actually thought it was a Pokemon named Garlickid. It is a Pokemon named Garlickid. Clearly, I wasn't paying attention. I thought it was some dork in a costume. Anyways, his Lunapup did pack a punch, but thankfully citrus berries are cheap, so I always have some on my Pokemon. Minion looks pretty cool, and Bashaft does as well, but this thing was a dark and fighting type, meaning Beast could not stay in here. Luckily, Storm's Air Cutter didn't miss and was right on the money to KO in 2 shots, or else Storm might have not made it out of there alive. Apparently, Garlic Dork here thinks Pokemon and humans should be separate. Sounds like a certain someone we all know and love. But from here, Peter learned Bubble Beam, which means he evolved into Spawnery. Hopefully this makes us see more of him. On Route 6 I finally got my encounter, that being Cubblefly, which I wasn't too excited about, but regardless I named him Rhodey, since he's a total war machine. It's not a total loss though, as his final evolution is pretty good. But for now, our little Spawnery was taking care of everyone on Route 6. No one could get through him. This route was also pretty long, and even more long if you consider Rockfall Cave to be a part of it. Speaking of which, we get another encounter here. Morbius wasn't too special, but good to have in case. It was a good thing none of these rock types had any rock type moves, or else Spawnery would be toast. Within no time we were on Route 7, and the sand has encounters, so Castnail was next. These Fakemon are so unique. This makes me want to get rid of Spawnery right now, but I won't, as it is part ground type as well, and we already have our starter. Directly after this, we meet up with Theo again, and he battles us with his own Castnail. And he nearly KO'd Bucky, so I had to go into Peter. As for Avidin, Beast electrocuted it to death, but of course, Theo has an answer for Beast with this ground and fighting type. So I quickly went back to Peter, who takes care of it with a Bubble Beam. From here, Metalinx came out, who freaked me out a little bit, but then I remembered this thing is still a first stager like Raptorch. So with a couple struggle bugs, that was down and out. Thankfully my Spawnery was level 25, as this thing was 24, and the rest of my team was like level 20. Anyways, Theo was not happy we beat him, and well, he gives us the excuse that his Pokemon were all tired from battling. I don't know what battling he's doing, because he ran away the last time we encountered something. And finally, after a long trek, we arrived in Beel Beach City, which we were born at, and it's where the next gym leader was. But that's not it. It has the Ranger HQ where Dad stays, so we went to visit him, and he's basically making excuses as to why he could never see us. Typical Pokemon Dad. Hey, shout out to the Almeo region from Pokemon Ranger. Those games are just perfection. Anyways, Dad here tells us to deliver something for him to the island where my mom disappeared. It seems like something you should be doing, Dad, but whatever. So we backtrack to Route 7, and this guy is 100% right. What is my dad thinking sending a kid to a nuclear power plant? I'm with you, sailor. Once we hop off the boat, Theo's dad greets us, telling us about how mom died and that it's pretty dangerous here since, well, the Pokemon have changed ever since the nuclear plant exploded. But of course, I don't care, I just want my hands on one of those nuclear Pokemon. And so we get our encounter here, and it's a Tancoon. I must admit, nuclear Pokemon and Nuzlocke do not mix, as they might not listen to me. And they're weak to pretty much everything. But we should at least try them out. From here I went to check out the old power plant, and after rummaging around a bit, I find myself fighting a Trawpint, who apparently wants to kill us. If you didn't guess by now, this is what Kostra is going to evolve into. The nuclear type is weak to most types, so Bubble Beam was a nice 2-shot with a crit on the second one. Thank God, as this thing was level 30. Once that thing was down, we passed out from radiation, and Cam's team comes to save us, but like, bro, why would you let me go in there unsupervised? And it's kind of traumatic, I lost my mom here. The adults in this game don't want to do anything. With that little field trip done, we can head back to Beel Beach City and do what I came here to do. Take on the water type gym. I made sure to evolve Nat into Tanscure for some extra power, as I was going to test her in this gym, and Wanda as well as Bucky. Now I'm aware that they won't obey orders and will probably die in this gym, but it's not like Tanscure is that good of a Pokemon anyways. Callie starts off with a tub jaw, and of course she didn't obey me, but she did use what I wanted her to use. So did she really disobey me? Up next was Sablu, and Gamma Ray only did half, but Callie went for Rain Dance, and this would have been great if Nat didn't disobey me once more. And yeah, she paid the price for it. I don't know if nuclears are the way if I'm doing a Nuzlocke. From here I went into Wanda, or Trop Hint, and my plan was to just Giga Drain this to death as it's ground water type, but we got confused and ended up at 1 HP. But both times we tried to attack, Wanda had different plans for us. She hit herself both times. What are you doing? Now I have no idea how a bubble beam in rain didn't finish this thing off, but it didn't, so we wasted her potion and eventually took her out with minimal damage taken. What the hell is that? Thankfully this thing didn't confuse us and 2 struggle bugs were enough to get that monstrosity out of here. But apparently she kept the best for last, and I don't doubt it. This thing looks awesome. Kararam is extremely fast, and while we do take neutral damage from Leaf Blade, it still did a ton, and it didn't even crit. And our struggle bug did half of her health. I'm pretty sure another one KOs Peter, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to Peter, so I went into Storm, and just look at how much damage that still did. I'm assuming Crabhammer would do about the same as Leaf Blade, and I was indeed correct, as we lived one and an air cutter misses the KO on this thing. But it's alright, as Quick Attack the following turn finishes this fight off once and for all. Not too stoked about losing Trop Hint, but that was just unlucky. And with that, the Tide Badge was ours. Since we lost Trop Hint, I added Morbius to the team, but to be honest, this will probably be replaced soon. Pokemon Uranium continues to amaze me with this little cutscene. You don't see this often in older Pokemon games. From here, we start getting attacked by a bunch of nuclear Pokemon, and this guy said he'd protect us, but just like Theo, he ran when things got tough. Meanwhile, on the way to the next town, I fought Theo, and this guy is so stupid, setting up rain for me, that I almost sweeped his entire team with Peter, until Metalinx came in. That is a dope name for sure. I tried going into Johnny, but Razor Leaf still did so much damage. If you don't know, the starters in this game only have 2 evolutions, so this thing is fully evolved. I switched into Storm on a crit Razor Leaf, but no way he crits twice, does he? No, he did. He absolutely did, because that's the only way Theo knows how to win. Luckily, Bucky is pretty strong and fast, so 2 Brick Breaks showed this kid a lesson. I'm really upset about Avidin. That thing still had 1 evolution to go, and Alton isn't exactly the better bird. It's like a Noctowl. Anyways, we were on Route 8 after that, ready for another encounter. That is, if I could find some actual grass. In the meantime, I did evolve Johnny into Archilies, and I gotta be honest, I kinda wish I picked one of the other 2. What was I thinking? Well, I mean, I didn't really have control over it, did I? And to make things worse, my next encounter was Cottony, and well, I killed it. Soon after we arrived in Vinnoville Town, and I added Falcon to the team. Pay no attention to the missing C in his name. Vinnoville Town is home to the Steel-type gym leader, Sheldon. He leads this cute little UFO named S51, and I led Johnny, whose first Flame Wheel crit, taking out in 1 shot. That in fact mattered. Garurul was out next, and this thing does have rollout, but it just went for an iron defense as we digged. Then it metal whipped and got burned by our flame body, which was nice. Now apparently this move works like bind, so I can't switch out to set up with Primeape, which sucks as that would have been a nice sweep, but Sheldon switched out anyways, and thankfully I didn't dig. Now we can switch into Peter, which I don't know why I thought was a good idea. This thing is a rock type and it nearly KO'd with an ancient power. I'm so sorry, Peter. Now Sheldon more than likely has a super potion, so I can't go into Primeape, as then we're stuck there, and I don't know if Psybeam one-shots. Same deal with Tofurang, and it has Magnet Rise, so that's why I switched Johnny out in the first place. And ancient power will destroy Pelage. So Beast is our only option. And he did use a potion. Now the question is, would it use Magnet Rise? I doubt it, as he doesn't know I have Dig, and we're correct. Since he saw Dig, I thought he would use Magnet Rise, so I just returned, but I forgot he just has another potion. My mistake, but we're fine. Until we weren't. I just kept using returns, fearing Magnet Rise, but no, he just kept using Psybeam, and well, return didn't KO obviously, and his Psybeam got a big critical hit, nearly finishing Beast off. But you can't kill the beast. 1 more return and that's down. Okay, this gym is giving me more trouble than anticipated thanks to that switch. Speaking of switching, I went into Bucky on an iron defense. Now we just bulk up a couple times, and 2 Brick Breaks is all we need. 1 for Garurul and 1 for Trackton to not even deal with that thing. I feel like Revavroom would be a great addition to this guy's arsenal. Honestly, what a great match for a 4th gym leader. And even though Theo had trouble with him, I don't blame him. He was tough. Anyways, directly after this, a huge explosion happens, and here we go with those cutscenes again. We're flying on some Lady Staraptor as we had to be evacuated, and off in the distance, we see smoke. It looks like it's another nuclear meltdown. So we were sent to Legend Town, and here we take refuge, and Theo has a meltdown of his own. Now we're supposed to go to Route 11 to face some nuclear Pokemon, but might as well grab an encounter to the right on Route 9. A Para Audio. It's another normal type, but I'd assume Beast's time with us is coming to an end as he's becoming more and more weak as the game goes on. Anyways, I named it Black Bolt. On Route 11 there was an outbreak of nuclear Pokemon, and our first encounter was actually Tanscure, so we re-encounter for an Arbok that I accidentally killed. Son of a... While I was calming this nuclear outbreak, we see that Dad has an Emperilla, which is Primate's new evolution in this game, which I should already have since you can buy the item to evolve it in Beel Beach City. But I forgot, and we actually can't backtrack from where we are now. Regardless, all we have to do is finish this up and go through Route 9 to lead us all the way back to Beel Beach to get this jungle crown on Tuesdays. And there we go, Emperilla. Honestly, I kinda like this more than Annihilate. Our next stop was Route 10, but I took a detour to Comet Cave and I figured this lady would give me one of these fossils, but she wanted to battle and it was going great until Drogon hit Peter with a big rock type move. And yeah, we finally lost Peter. This one really hurts, but I do have the other water type in the PC, so it's not too bad. We also did end up getting a fossil, and since I was mashing A, I picked up the hair fossil. But I checked, and I would have picked this either way as it's part electric type. And like I said, Beast is becoming weaker by the gym. Sorry, Peter. But hello, Namor. I ended up taking the fossil to Cypress's lab, and here we revived it into this Slothum. Look how derpy and cute he is. Thor here was going to be our replacement for Beast. You served us well, buddy. Okay, maybe not yet. Slothum is pretty weak and I don't want him to die. So Beast, you're here until he's level 40. But after that, you're going into retirement. From there, since we now had strength, we could move a boulder to get to Route 10 from Route 4. Our encounter here was Tikaki, a grass type who turns into a grass fire type. Not useful right now, but you never know. This is Ogerpon's lost long cousin. I also found a trickway in Anthell. It was a long trek to Ametree City, but finally when we got there, it was still raining. My character must be soaked. Now it looks like we came all this way for nothing, as the gym leader is somewhere back in the forest, and I'm assuming he's past this little group of buggers. So I used some bug spray someone gave me, and I made them angry. Apparently Anthell Deeper is a new encounter, but I ended up finding this, which we already have, but I guess it doesn't take species claws into account, so I was able to chuck some balls at it, and ended up killing it, which doesn't matter as we have the Prevo. From here we finally find the gym leader, Tico, who's been captured by these guys who definitely were hoping to get him for a snack. Or maybe they caught him for their queen. Seiko Master is basically an alternate evolution to all these bugs, and it looks pretty sick. Now luckily this thing was only using Nightshade, and aside from missing one rock slide, with Bucky, it went pretty smooth. Since all that is done, we can take him on in Ametree City, but first I evolved Falcon into Pajay. Look at this majestic bird. Now Tico starts off with a Pelage, and my plan is to just rock slide a bunch of his Pokemon since 3 of them are 4 times weak to rock slide. I did miss my first one, but he only used Sunny Day and then proceeded to switch into Fire Oak to sack, I suppose. Which was totally useless as Pelage came right back in to die. Pajay was next, and Chimaconda is 4 times weak to dig, so that was also out in 1 hit. Johnny was putting in work. Now Infligetta is powerful, don't get me wrong, but Johnny is just a playboy demon. Tico, you stood no chance against him. Now before we can get Surf to get out of this place, Theo's holding the HM hostage. Well, this is a little awkward. Again, this was pretty easy as he set up Rain, and I just so happened to lead Namor. So we destroy half of his team off the bat. I gotta say, Splendifal's animation is just so majestic. I'm so sad I lost Storm. Since it was our last moments with Beast, I let him KO that, and Metalinx was last. But no worries this time, as I have Falcon, so 1 Lava Plume later, and now we have Surf. I will say, not having Fly in older games until later is pretty cool, especially when the region is laid out like this, where there's a lot of backtracking because certain cities aren't accessible until later. Makes me enjoy the entire region more. Alright Beast, it's finally time for you to retire. And hello Theria Amp. And hello Frynai on Route 12. Won't be using it, but good to have. Speaking of Route 12, there were these surfing ninjas and they were always giving me trouble, especially their boss who set up Rain, and I don't have a good answer for water types. Which is ironic as I have an electric type, who's weak to water types. So I switched in Morbius on a huge rain boosted Muddy Water. Thankfully, we did have a Citrus Berry and got a Poison with Poison Fang, but he was also using potions, so this was super annoying. And to make things worse, we both switched out at the same exact time, and Namor can't do anything to Gyarados. So I swapped back into Bucky as he set up Rain once more. Now thankfully I was able to flinch with Rock Slide, and he switched into Vaporeon once more on a big one. Now we just Aerial Ace on another switch because he has no idea what to do, and out comes Tubareel. Now we get intimidated, but our ability is Infuriate, which means every time we're hit with a physical move, our attack raises. So we take a brutal Aqua Tail, and a Brook Break does basically nothing. I went into Namor once more, and he switched again! Honestly, that was great for us as poison is ticking on this thing. 1 Mud Bomb and it's over. And the bullshit continues as we both missed our next moves. Eventually with some mud bombs we missed the KO, and now I just have to hit this mud bomb. And we did, but Namor lives on 18 HP. Namor, you're pushing it. To be fair, I should have just surfed as this thing doesn't have water absorb. But it wasn't over. Daikatsuno was probably his final Pokemon. With my team weakened, I really had no choice. It was either sack Namor, who's about to evolve, or sack Morbius, who has Intimidate. And I know I should probably sack Falcon, but I just can't do it. That thing is too cool. But to be honest, this is probably the only fight Morbius has participated in, and it's made a difference. We barely use him. I'm sorry, buddy. So we switch, get an Intimidate off, and a Night Slash doesn't KO us. So the question now was, does this thing have a water type move? I looked up its level up moveset, and it looks like Aqua Jet might not be here. So I switched into Thor, took a big Iron Head, and risked Thor's life. Oh my god, Thor. You truly are a god. Now we just quick attack, which by the way, my ability makes normal type moves electric, which is why it was super effective. And that's that. How we beat Hokage without losing a Pokemon? I don't know, but I'll take it. Oh, and apparently they appointed me to the role of Hokage, since I just beat theirs. Sure, why not? Route 13 brought Jack Deary, but apparently I just KO'd from full. Bro, what the f? We continued until we reached Venice City, and oh my god, this city is on water. That's awesome. And there's this little rat who was spying on me, so I checked it out, and yeah, this is our encounter for the city. Which reminds me, let's organize our team a little. Morbius, it's time for you as well to retire, and I'm bringing in Rhodey, and I'm actually gonna get rid of Falcon as we don't need another fire type. And if you guys remember, we have a Dunsparce, which at level 42 evolves into a dragon flying type, and it lets us resist water types. So with that, we have Rhodey the Nymflora, and Loki the Dunsaraf. And while we're at it, Namor evolved into Skartress, which is just a beautiful Pokemon. It looks ready to get down to business. However, Rhodey is the one getting down to business, as we can now lead him against Rosalind. She led Masking, which has Illusion, and I like how the Illusion glitches out and starts looking like different Pokemon. Up next was Miasmatic, and this is a Psychic Poison type, so I just swapped in Johnny on a not so very effective Moonblast. I did Dig, but she switched into Duplicate, which is dumb as Brick Break destroyed that thing the following turn. Once Winnow-Tinker came in, I switched back into Rhodey on a high jump kick. But then she switched again, and then I had to go back into Johnny. Like, why do these leaders just switch so much? Just attack. And she kept doing this too, but eventually a crit Acrobatics finished this thing off. I still had my berry on Johnny, so I swapped once more, and a Dig finally finished Miasmatic in one blow. Was that so hard, Rosalinda? Oh, it looks like Drama Sama is the one doing this glitch thing. Pretty cool feature for this Pokemon. Now, I didn't really know what to do, so I just Flamethrowered, but this thing's Psyshock left Johnny at 1 HP. That was way too close. Luckily, with the Citrus Berry I had on Namor, we were able to out-damage it because if I didn't, Namor would be dead. Honestly, a little more difficult of a gym fight, but only because of that Pokemon. After this, Professor Bambo called us, telling us to go north to Snowbank Town for the next gym. So that's exactly what I did. Theo's never really a challenge until it comes to Metal Links. I really thought this would have KO'd from where he was at, but nope. And thank God he missed because Loki would have been dead in an instant. That thing is really carrying him. From here, I head into the Labyrinth and find a Chupacho, which is one hell of a name. There sure are a lot of poison types in the Tandor region. And of course, we find this right after. What a cool Pokemon. Sometime later, we come out on the other side and find the TM for Drain Punch, which is just a better Brick Break, so I taught that to Bucky. And our encounter here was just a Tubjaw. We do have to stop at Silverport before getting to Snowbank, but it's alright, as this town looks cozy. There's also a research lab here, and I talked to this Outten who's basically saying what every Pokemon is saying. They're enslaving me! And, well, basically because I wouldn't hand over the translator to understand Pokemon, they kicked me out. If it wasn't for the game stopping me, I would have accepted their money. They even locked the door. Well, let's just keep going. Oh, Team Rocket. Wonder what they want. Hey, let me go, you idiots! I knew it. The professor kidnapped us for this lousy translator. Imagine if you were this determined to steal some treatment for that bald spot you got. Well, I guess there's nothing to do but sleep. And when we woke up, some guard gave us a note telling us the wall behind us was easy to break through. So with that, we go through and hey, it's Garlic Boy. And this is where I found out that this was an actual Pokemon and not a kid. I still swear to you, it's a kid in a costume. Either way, we decided to break out of this place with him. Oh my god, that Pokemon is sick. Anyways, once we battle some lab assistants, we gotta fight the big bad Professor Larkspur. Bucky took care of everyone except Chain Knight, which Namor just surfed away. Since we defeated everyone, Garlic Kid actually wants to join us, so I guess that's a static encounter, and I named him Wade. If it wasn't for Bucky, I'd use him. And it's pretty funny as he wants to free everyone, but I'm just gonna lock him away in this PC forever. Adios, buddy. Lathanite Cave gave us Faffer, which is actually a dragon type. Looks nothing like one, so it surprised me. Meanwhile, on Route 16, this Alpaco was destroying my team with Ice Beam. This wouldn't have happened if our chilies didn't get frozen, but what can you do? Anyways, this led me to switching into Thor, and we lived, but the hail just buffeted him away. Whoops. I guess I should have just sacked Rhodey. And that is a fast Pokemon. I'm so upset right now. You fought well, buddy. Now, it was a trek and a half to get to Snowbank, going through the cave and the tough blizzard, but finally when we arrived, we could lay Thor to rest. Well, Faffer, I guess you're coming with me. Is it just me, or does Theo look a little different? This next gym challenge was a series of puzzles and trainers that we went through with Theo, and these trainers were no joke. They had some tough Pokemon. I mean, Rhodey almost bit the dust here, and the only reason his Dunsaraf died was because of a crit and hail. And there were 5 challenges in total. I will say we were seeing some pretty unique Pokemon from this. Now, this guy recommends that we use Mega Evolution, but I don't have any stones. Well, at least not for my main team. But I do have this stone for this little guy, Kang. No idea where I got it from, but it doesn't even matter as I don't have a Mega Bracelet yet, so I don't know why that guy told me to use Mega Evolution in this fight. And the cool thing is we get to do a double battle with Theo. I led Iceman, who is fully evolved now, even though Splendifowl is just blocking him. And Varen here leads Dunsaraf and Glavenug. Now, luckily they targeted Theo, and Iceman goes last, so Avalanche does 120 base power, and is quad effective to Dunsaraf. Safe to say there was no way that thing was living. And out of nowhere, Theo sends in Nucleon, the new evolution in this game. Like I said, for the most part they were attacking Theo, and Iceman here was tanking hits since we have thick fat. I wasn't dishing out too much damage, but I definitely wanted to take them out at the same time. Heraloon living here ensured that, as it was able to take out Alpico right after we took out Galvanug. And with that, Fafnir and Andorin were up. I did switch in Rhodey thinking I needed to sack to not lose Fafnir, but Andorin used bulk up and Fafnir targeted Heraloon. Either way, Rhodey did die, getting a semi-decent play rough off. But yeah, someone needed to die there. Luckily, Andorin used EQ, doing more damage to his teammate, but Theo's team was looking grim. Good news is, Metalinx was finally out and I sent in Bucky. Okay, maybe some bad news. I really thought Rockslide would do more than it did, and I mean, I should have just Drain Punched Andorin. Since we don't care about Metalinx, Namor's Surf can easily knock them both out, and I guess I should have just did that from the start. Whoops. And then with that, the only thing left was Ampharos, but there was a catch. This was Mega Ampharos. But Namor did get a big freeze with Ice Beam, or it would be big if it didn't thaw out immediately. Regardless, one more Ice Beam and we've single-handedly taken down Varen. And I mean that, Theo barely did anything. With Varen defeated, we can finally use Mega Evolution, and Theo wants to try it out, so I happily oblige. And this isn't just Metalinx, this is his entire team we have to fight. So thankfully, we didn't lose many Pokemon. I did switch in my own Namor against his, but this was pretty bad as it had a Hydro Pump, and it didn't miss a single one, as I recovered off the damage. No crits though, and eventually Namor came out on top. As for Splendifowl, Iceman crushes his bird with an Avalanche, as well as Heraloon after living the biggest Drain Punch of his career. Excellent work, Iceman. Unfortunately, I did take unnecessary damage due to not just using EQ on this thing, but all is good as Nucleon can't live a single Earthquake. Seriously, what happened to this kid? Did we age up or something? Was I just not paying attention? I'm so sorry, Bucky. I really loved you with all my heart. You were one of my favorite in this run, and I should have taken more care of you. Rhodey, you were kind of weak, so bye, loser. Well, at least now we can use Garlickid, and I suppose Paraboom can join the team as well. We met up with Bambo and had a chat about that dude that kidnapped us, among other things, but he also told us that the last gym is in Tsukunami, and that the way to get there is dangerous thanks to pirates and ninjas. So hopefully we don't lose any Pokemon getting there. And right on my way back to Venice City, this guy disguised himself as an old man to try and steal all of my Pokemon. No worries though, as he was a piece of cake. All the way back in Venice City, we can go right to Route 14 to get to the next gym, as well as a very important encounter. Important to me, at least. By using a repel to not encounter anything up on the top, we can safely get to the depths of the ocean, where we can find ourselves a Cell Kid. I don't know if we could find anything else here, but thank Arceus this was our first encounter. This is a water and fairy type, and I named her Sue. From here we trekked on, getting abused by pirates, but if you remember, I'm the new Hokage, so my ninja friends made this trip a little less painful. But honestly, I thought it would be a longer trip to this village. That was like directly after the ninjas saved me. And they even welcomed me to Tsukunami Village. This village has a sacred Pokemon called Yatagaru that can summon thunderstorms at will. Pretty dope. Now this gym is a little tricky, and what I mean is there's not one gym leader, there's two, and we have to fight them back to back without interruption. So this is just a bloodbath waiting to happen. but I'm almost positive Johnny with Mega Evolution can destroy these guys. One has grass types while the other has poison types, which as you all know, our chilies will destroy easily. So I wasn't too worried. Apparently this building is a shrine to the gods of Autios and Mutios, and the gym leaders are the prince and princess of the ninja clan. I love the lore going on in this game. The puzzle for this gym was super simple, even though at first I didn't get it. Basically, you just need to step on the tiles, and if you step on a black one, it turns white, and vice versa. So you just have to get the same number of tiles so that they stop changing and open the gate ahead. And with that, we were in the presence of mortal gods. We can choose who we'd like to battle, so I battle Kaito first as he has poison types despite leading Umbreon, but we just Mega Evolve Johnny, and we have the Drought ability when we Mega Evolve, so that Flamethrower does a nice chunk. 2 more after some potions, and Luchabra comes in. Unfortunately, an Earthquake did not KO Luchabra in one hit, and he Drain Punched us, plus poisoned, but once that was gone, Velucard was in. And our Chilies needs to be out. Now this was tough, and I thought long and hard about what I wanted to do. Namor can't come in Earth Power because it has Giga Drain, and Johnny can't stay in because of poison. We can't rest in between fighting both gym leaders, so I don't want to use Loki or Iceman. So Black Bolt is our only option. Unfortunately, it did go for a Drain Life, which did heaping amounts of damage, but at least Black Bolt is still in this. Now unfortunately, Black Bolt didn't outspeed, which just sucks, as Boom Burst with our Sound Boost ability probably would have KO'd. From here I went into Wade, who Drain Punches twice on Velucard, as it just went for Poison Sting. Thank Arceus. But now Arbok was out, and this thing has a Mega in this game, which turns it into a Dark type. It did miss its first Gunk Shot, but it did hit its second one, and that was it for Garlickid. I'm sorry, pal. Now all Namor had to do was Earth Power one time, and that was it. But it wasn't over yet, as Hinata was out next, and we're still in rough shape. I switched into Namor immediately, taking out Flareon in one hit with Surf. Now this thing went for a nasty plot, which was not good. Either way, the plan was to sack Namor and Iceman could come in. Thankfully, I do have Ice Shard for a priority, and this thing is quad weak to it, so from there it stood no chance. Yellen was next, and this thing is awesome. And it was easy to set up on, so I was able to get 3 Dragon Dances off, and I was really surprised, but I didn't outspeed even at +3. So for Mega Whimsicott, I just went for Ice Shard, and thankfully that was enough to finish this bloodbath of a battle. Holy crap, that was difficult. With our 8th gym badge in our bag, Bambo calls us to congratulate us, but before we can even finish our conversation, we're interrupted by the Pokemon Rangers because, well, you guessed it, another meltdown is going to occur in one of the power plants. Luckily, we do get a chance to go to the Pokemon Center before going to the power plant, so we can say goodbye to our fallen friends. You all worked so hard in that fight, and I couldn't be any prouder. May you rest in peace, my beautiful souls. And with those guys gone, I added Sue our Cell Kid, Kang our Barriet, and Morbius our Topherang to the team. Once that's done, we hitch a ride on Staraptor and go to Plant Omicron, where we meet up with our dad and rival. We believe that the nuclear Pokemon here are being controlled to attack the reactor, so of course we have to stop them. So once we fight some pathetic nuclear Pokemon, we find out something is inside the reactor, and it looks like it's these badass Pokemon. But they're not just badass, they legitimately want to kill us. And in an attempt to save us, Dad stands in the way trying to be the hero, but just when Urain was going to blast Dad to oblivion, out came Theo's dad to save the day. Cameron here was the one who warned us about the attack, and unfortunately Theo stepped right in to help his dad. Urain attacked, and Theo's dad stepped in to save him, and ultimately died in the process. Wow, did not expect that. So, hey Cameron, can I have your legendary? No? Too soon? Well, I guess he didn't actually die, and we all went to the Rangers HQ in Beel Beach City, and here we figure out Cameron was a secret agent based on a letter he left. Anyways, I guess he was trying to prove that what happened 10 years ago at the plant wasn't exactly an accident. And right when he figured out that they were making artificial Pokemon, aka Urain, the plant blew. And this person uses the Curie tech to control this man-made Pokemon, and a bunch of other stuff, but that's just the gist. And we think they're going to be hiding in Power Plant Zeta on Route 8, so that's where we're headed next. But before that, I fed a bunch of berries to Sue to max her friendship. This way we could evolve her into Siren Tide. Now from here we go onto the ship to Route 8, and we put on this nuclear suit that protects us from radiation. I look like I'm ready for war. And I kind of was, as these nuclear Pokemon were terrifying. This is the first time they attacked me, and look how much that did. Thankfully, they were mainly targeting Theo's Pokemon. But when we had to fight them alone, there was nothing we could do if they ganged up on one of my Pokemon. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Oh, Loki. Well, I guess somebody had to take one for the team. At the very least, we found a part of this forest that gets no radiation, and it might be because of this little guy we can catch. Right before we get to the plant, Father tells Theo to turn back since he doesn't have a suit, and as always, he's being selfish and a baby, and eventually radio communication stops completely and uranium appears to knock us out. And now we're separated from Theo and our suit is on low battery. Now since this is the power plant, it counts as a new encounter, so I ended up catching a Nupin, which I'm assuming is a nuclear type, but it's actually not. It's grass and electric type, which is perfect for the team. That is, if it wasn't actually a nuclear type. Apparently it's the pre-evolution of Galen. From here we look around a bit, turning on the power and eventually finding a power cell. Then we enter the nuclear sector and we have 5 minutes until we die. So I don't know how, but I found the correct path and finally met up with Urain and Curie. This has gotta be my mom, right? Or am I bugging? Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. We see that this evil monster took Theo and put him in this tube. He's just a kid, man. What are you doing? Anyways, we challenge Curie to a battle and they start off with a nucleon. I figure my best bet is to Mega Evolve Johnny, and with Drought we Flamethrower, but this thing was actually faster. Up next was Zeno Queen, and we are scary close to death, but Johnny is so fast that we destroyed this thing, and with one shot as well. Same with Arbok. Now Barriet also can Mega Evolve, but Johnny is just a beast at this point and outspeeds that. What a legend. But finally Urain was up, and I'm afraid Johnny's time is as well. But I looked up its stats, and it's not really defensive, so I took a leap of faith, and yeah, Johnny torched him in one blow. Granted, this thing has different forms, but I really thought we were losing the Nuzlocke here. I guess I was right to choose you as our starter. Not that I chose you, you were actually just given to me based on the answers I gave, but I'll take credit for that. Anyways, with Curie defeated, Urain shrinks to this size and they both escape, but thankfully the little man over here is alive and well. And that's not the only one alive and well. Cam woke up from his coma and all that was left was me defeating the Tander League. And finally we can access our boxes as Loki did die. Do you know, I could have used this ability before. Those nuclear Pokemon were tough. I barely made it out alive. Now unfortunately Scorpion here loses his electric typing, but it's still a good replacement for Loki. It's probably gonna die disobeying me though. Finally we can head into Victory Road where our first trainer destroyed Kang with a play rough. This reminds me though, to add Cap the Luchibro to the team as well as Daredevil the Daikatana. And as you can imagine, Scorpion was loafing around, so he also died. Man, this game is difficult at times. You're up, Freaky Tiki. Hopefully at level 70, we don't lose any more Pokemon. So I already caught a Pokemon in Victory Road, but I guess the game considers the cave a different encounter, so now we have Drogon. I was able to avoid most trainers, but even the ones I fought killed my Pokemon. Come on. And this was a long journey. It felt like forever getting through this place. But finally we ended up at the Tandor Championship. And the first guy we gotta fight is this dude. Now I'm almost positive we're going to lose this Nuzlocke since these guys' levels and Theo's levels are 10 apart, so I decided to get everyone to level 80 to have an easier time with it. Sir Goldcorn's team is pretty random, but Johnny had no problem with everyone except Barriet, which Cap took care of easy. Up next was Angelica, the fairy type expert, but I had a poison type expert, Luchibra. And at level 80, none of them stood a chance. So directly we went to Davern. It's been a while since we fought him, but I'm sure he'll be tough. Now we did get intimidated immediately, so I swapped in Johnny on Topherang. A nice little Mega Evolution and an Earthquake, and that was out of here. The same thing applied to this thing that I cannot pronounce. And thankfully Terralard only used Stealth Rock, so that goes down into Earthquakes. Gliscor couldn't live a single Flamethrower, while Sableye died to 2 Flame Impacts. I knew Drogon would Mega, so I went into Sue, who eats an Earthquake. With our Scissors Berry popped, we Surf, almost getting the KO, and Sue is such a boss that she lives on 17 HP. So all it takes is one more Surf, and that's the battle. Now we did get to rematch Varen again, and this was scary as I led the wrong Pokemon. Regardless, I trucked on with Daredevil against Dunsaraft, and 3 Ironheads did the trick. I figured I needed to sack Daredevil to an Earthquake since Ironhead didn't KO, but we got the biggest flinch ever. And with that, Andorin was out of commission. Frostfra died in a single hit to Ironhead, which surprised me. And Alpico was quad affected to Ironhead, so no way that was living. Now Fafnir is a tank, so of course that Ironhead didn't do it to her, but she just used Dragon Dance. Only problem now is, do we outspeed? I do have Aqua Jet, but does it kill here? Well, we in fact did not outspeed, but Varen missed his Blizzard, so Daredevil is out here surprising me with every Pokemon he finishes. I decided to cut my losses with Ampharos, and fearing a Thunder, I go into our newest member, Stark. With Mega Evolution on our side, that Ampharos' life flashed in an instant, and another trainer was defeated. With all those trainers put in their place, there was just one more trainer to fight, Theo, and I was finally gonna put this baby in his place. But of course, something always has to interrupt us, and a legendary Pokemon pops out. Also, are we on a volcano? Of course, everyone else gets to run, but not us. We can go one-on-one with Acton, a nuclear Seal type. Naturally, I'd let Johnny, whose Flame Impact and Drought will destroy this thing in one shot, giving it no time to react. You call that a legendary? Lies. Anyways, Varen decides to talk to Acton since he's Dragonborn, and removes its nuclear properties doing that. Impressive. Apparently some other legendary woke up up, and since we've proven ourselves, it wants to join our team. As much as Daredevil was a beast in this tournament, Acton is great for this endgame, and it looks like we were gonna need it since Curie showed up right after to ruin my big day. Theo and the other went to get everyone to safety, and I have to stop this psycho, but I'm not talking about Curie. I'm talking about that thing. Urane has upgraded. Now this shouldn't be that hard since Acton is a steel type, and okay, so much for that. And it didn't stop there. My entire team died to every atomic punch this thing let out. Maybe Daikatana would have made it, but this is just ridiculously powerful. In the end, Gamma Urane destroyed everything, and everything became a nuclear wasteland. No one survived, and no one could stop him. Everyone perished, and it was all my fault. This is why you can't entrust anything to a teenager. And the most important thing of all, I lost the Nuzlocke. But how am I supposed to compete with that? Because the tournament, everybody was level 70, and apparently we don't even fight Theo right now, so technically we're not even supposed to be level 80. And we still died at level 80. I guess I should have kept Daikatana, but dude, what the f? Anyways, I still continued the story from our save, managed to beat Urane with still half of the team dying, and we stopped Curie. Soon after, we reveal who Curie really is, and of course, it's pretty obvious. It's our mother, and everyone is just devastated. Minus maybe Cameron, as he kind of knew this would be her all along. The good news is it probably wasn't her. You see, her interface after prolonged use made her go a little crazy and lose her mind, causing her to not recognize any of us. And the question was, how did she survive all those 10 years after the first meltdown? Well, she probably stayed in one of those tubes, you know, the one she put Theo in, and well, that's how. It was hard for our dad, and even though she was technically a criminal, Dad took her to seek medical attention. Right after, Urane came out in its alpha form, and Acton gave it eternal fuel since Acton is the creator of all radioactive metals. And this makes it so that Urane no longer needs to feed on that stuff to stay alive, meaning no more nuclear meltdowns. It looks like Mom made a real connection to this man-made creature. They were friends more than anything. When they decided to shut down the project, our mom protected Urane, and when the power plant was gonna blow all those years ago, she went downstairs immediately to find Urane, like we saw in the beginning. Because she would not let him die there. And because she couldn't let go of her creation, she went into the tank with Urane, as the room she built would keep everything out and everything in. And with that, they stayed there together, all alone, for what probably felt like a really long time. Urane then joins us as he realizes now that not all humans are out to kill it. From there, Theo forfeited the championship as he thought we deserved it. You know, saving everybody and all. So I guess technically we didn't lose the Nuzlocke, thanks to Urane, but I mean, nuclear types are just powerful, being super effective to everything. What a wonderful story. Pretty predictable, but I like how it shows how our mother went missing, and I think it shows what Pokemon are all about. Friendship, regular or man-made. I give it a solid 8 out of 10, and I had loads of fun with it. Uranium has some awesome Fakemon as well, and all throughout this, I was remembering all their names since they felt very memorable. But yeah, if you guys want to see more ROM hacks or fan games, let me know down below. I'll be happy to do any of them. Anyways, bye!